Not long ago, we hitchhiked through Mexico, and in this video we're going to tell you what that was like. We're also going to tell you, based on our experiences, what we think the biggest dangers were when it came to hitchhiking in Mexico. And although we did this and we'll likely do it again, and we're continuing to hitchhike through Mexico, we don't recommend this at all, and we're going to tell you why later in the video.
We're going to try to anticipate any questions that viewers may have. Now, if we don't answer a question that you have, just ask away in the comments below.
So when did we do this, and how much hitchhiking in Mexico did we do? We did this in 2013 and 2014. We spent about 5 months total, and we hitchhiked from Tijuana all the way down to Chetumal. And I think it was all but 5 states in Mexico that we didn't hitchhike through. So we didn't just go a couple miles down the road. We did some extensive hitchhiking through the country.
Yeah, so beyond that 5 months in Mexico, it was part of a much bigger trip. We left our front door in Portland, Maine, walked out the door, started to hitchhike. We hitchhiked from Portland, Maine, all the way down to San Diego, walked across the border into Tijuana, did that hitchhiking through Mexico, and then from there we hitchhiked all the way through Central America to the Panama Canal, and then back again all the way to Portland, Maine, hitchhiking.
And that all took exactly 365 days, by the way.
Yeah.
That whole entire trip. And I'd say all that distance that you just mentioned, we probably hitchhiked about 80% of that.
Yep, yeah, it was about 80%.
No flights, just hitchhiking buses.
So what do we do the other 20% of the time? Well, to be honest with you, hitchhiking is bloody exhausting. There are just days where you're just, I don't want to have to get in a vehicle and make conversation with somebody for 3, 4, 5 hours. I don't want to have to do that in Spanish or English. I just don't want to talk to anyone. So for the other 20% of the time, when we were just wrecked with hitchhiking for weeks on end, we caught buses because it was just a nice treat to just sit on a bus, look out the window and zone out and not have to talk to anyone.
I think a big question would be, was it safe?
Yeah, obviously. Here we are standing here, so it's a few years later and we're relating our hitchhiking experiences to you, so obviously yes.
All right, so were we ever scared at any point? I know you weren't.
Nope, not at all.
You were my rock, my salvation throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
But I, on the other hand, was. We got a lift in the back of a pickup truck from the town of Tamasopo to Aquismon. This was in the Huasteca region of Mexico. And at some point, the driver got off the highway and started going through a cornfield. And I was slightly concerned by all that.
Slightly panicked, just a bit.
Yeah, I didn't scream bloody murder. It wasn't anything like that. But I mean, you could definitely tell. You could pick up that I was.
Oh yeah, the look on your face was just sheer horror.
I think that's a slight exaggeration,
Not
but
really.
I was like, oh shit, this is how it all ends, in a cornfield in Mexico. That was it. That was the only time I was scared.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just a shortcut that they knew about, obviously. So like at one minute you're on like just a normal road, and then you're just off-road, going down this dirt road, just kind of bouncing through like the dirt.
Cornfields.
But it was grand. Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
I think I've seen too many movies that just kind of that don't end well for certain characters.
Yeah, you've seen way too many films. Jesus.
When they're driving through a cornfield, not too much good comes from that. But it was fine. It was fine.
Was it difficult to get lifts?
I don't think so at all. I think it was wicked easy, as a matter of fact. There were some times where we were just on a point in the road where there wasn't a lot of traffic, and it might have taken an hour or so, 2 hours, and we were on the verge of giving up. But no, I think in Mexico, I think it's very easy to get lifts. Definitely. You?
Yeah, we just found it really easy, because especially the fact that we just hitchhiked across the states. Now that was a challenge. That was definitely difficult. But Mexico was really no bother.
Okay, how was it communicating with drivers? How was your Spanish?
Our Spanish, not that great. Still not that great. Actually, it's fairly brutal now, if we're being honest. But I had taken a couple of classes of basic Spanish beforehand. So basically, you'd get in the car and you just have your dictionary in hand, and somehow you could still get through a 4 or 5 hour lift, having like a really basic conversation with people. And people were just really good about it.
Yeah, I think it's testament to their patience, just
incredibly.
listening to us and being fine with it. Because a lot of times I think when people pick you up, they expect a little bit of conversation in return.
Oh God, yeah, it's the whole point of hitchhiking. It's not like a taxi, you're not just going to sit back there quiet.
So I wish our Spanish, going back, I wish our Spanish was conversational at least.
I wish it still was, yeah, because we're going to be doing more hitchhiking in the future, and it's going to be the same mess probably. But
we got a lot of work to do then, don't we?
We do, yeah, we do. But yeah, people were incredibly patient, to the point that their ears were probably bleeding by the time we got out of the car, because of our lack of mastery of language. But they were incredibly kind and incredibly patient with us. They were just very gracious.
Our Tarzan Spanish is pretty damn good, I must say.
Yeah, for Tarzan Spanish we do great, actually, yeah.
So prior to this, had we hitchhiked before?
Yeah, we'd hitchhiked together before in Europe, Central America and Dominican Republic. And then prior to us being together, I'd hitchhiked quite a bit with friends in Europe. And then also, I was brought up in Ireland in the 1970s. So my mum and dad, when we were little and we'd go on holidays, they used to pick up hitchhikers. So for me, hitchhiking there was nothing taboo about it. It was always grand, like parents picked up hitchhikers, so it was just like a natural progression that when I got older, I'd hitchhike myself. So hitchhiking was always perfectly acceptable to me. What about you?
No, just the opposite. I think I'd seen too many slasher films and heard too many urban legends. I don't even think my parents had to instill it in me. I think pop culture did that enough.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was my first time hitchhiking was with you in Guatemala, and on a previous trip than this one we're talking about, obviously. But it took a lot of convincing to get me to that point. But yeah, so
yeah, you were definitely quite anti-hitchhiking.
Yeah, we've done some hitchhiking before prior to this.
Yep.
Right, so at this point in the video, we certainly hope that we haven't sent any of our regular subscribers heading for the hills. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing that. That definitely helps out the channel.
Yeah, give the video a thumbs up. That's actually a massive help to us. And let us know, have you ever hitchhiked? Or more importantly, would you ever hitchhike? So give us a shout in the comments down below and let us know what you think. What was your longest lift?
Oh, I'd have to say that was Carlos. Probably, that was like a 10-hour ride. That was on Baja Peninsula from the town of San Quintin down to the town of Mulegé. And yeah, Carlos was one of our hitch helpers. We're hitchhikers, and we call the people that picked us up hitch helpers. It was great to just be a passenger in the car and just drive down the Baja Peninsula and be able to, enjoy the scenery along the way, as opposed to driving, which we've done as well. So yeah, 10 hours, that was it.
Yeah, it was a long lift, but the time actually flew by because, like I said, it was a really fun lift. He was lovely man. So speaking of hitch helpers, if you'd like to know more about our hitchhiking experience, but especially the people who picked us up, our hitch helpers, and if you'd like to see photos of them, and by the way, we do have permission from everybody to use their photo. If you'd like to see any of that and read a bit more, we have 2 blog articles that we're going to link to down below in the description.
So what was your most memorable lift?
Actually there's 2. I think the first one was in Michoacan. We were on the side of the road and these 3 lads stopped and picked us up, and we were barreling along the Michoacan coast. We were going from Marahuata to Caleta de Campos. So they were playing this music, and it was music we'd never heard before. And obviously we asked what the tunes were, and so we're barreling along, listening to these fantastic tunes, windows are open. And when we got back, we downloaded those tunes, So now whenever we listen to them, we're just immediately transported back to that lift where you're just like flying along the Michoacan coast. That was just fantastic, and they were really nice. They were lovely, those lads.
They were, yeah. So those songs are like it's like a soundtrack to that particular point of hitchhiking through Mexico along the Michoacan coast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
And what's the other one?
The other one was when we hitchhiked to Hitchhiking. This truck picked us up with young kids in it. Well, when I say young, like, I mean, obviously they were younger than us. They're like in their 20s, maybe their 30s.
They weren't 10.
No, they weren't 10. Like, they weren't, you know, but they were younger than us, and they picked us up, and so we're driving up to Hitchhiking, which is kind of up through the mountains, hills, and it's all like misty and foggy out. And when we get out of the truck, it's customary to offer a driver money. I know you're hitchhiking and most people think, oh, it's just a free lift, but it actually isn't. Not in Mexico, Central America. It's kind of expected. It's just a courtesy that you offer a little something. So we offered some money to them, and they were just really, really sweet. They refused the money, and their response was, we welcome you to our country. They just wanted us to have a good time and enjoy Mexico, and just thought that was really lovely, just really, really sweet. Again, it's just that hospitality of Mexican people.
It was a sweet gesture, and just saying that was a nice parting goodbye to us, you know?
Yeah, obviously
nice.
it's stuck with us. It's one of our most memorable lifts.
Yep. At the beginning of the video, we mentioned we were going to have a discussion about what we thought the most dangerous things were that we encountered when we were hitchhiking. And this is just based on our own experience. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is not getting hit by a vehicle. You're standing on the side of the road, which could be dangerous on its own, you know, let alone kidnappers or whatever. It's just not getting hit by a vehicle. It's as simple as that. And I think kind of along the same lines, it's not causing a distraction to other vehicles. As you're standing there on the side of the road, you need a passing motorist to have enough time to see you there, process the situation, and even have a spot to pull in if they need to pick you up or if they want to pick you up. So don't make the driver pull into a spot where it's going to be dangerous. So, you know, be visible, don't get hit by a car, and certainly don't be a distraction to other drivers. That's it. You?
The weather was also a big consideration for us. It's very hot, so you want to make sure that there was always a bit of shade that you could step into, or shelter for any kind of storm that could roll in. So yeah, the weather was definitely a big consideration. And then the final one was just, we were just always out hitchhiking when it was daylight, because we wanted to be sure that we weren't out at night. So we'd start hitchhiking in the morning, and hitchhiking in the evening with daylight. And then we always made sure that we got dropped off in a town, because we also didn't want to get stranded out in the middle of nowhere. So once we got dropped in a town, we were able to find somewhere to stay, something to eat, and you knew you were grand then for the night, and you could just start all over again the next morning.
Yeah, I think these are some real basic, you know, things that you keep in mind for safety, but I don't think they're the things that most people think about.
Yeah, there's nothing
as dangerous
shocking or exciting or dangerous. It's quite boring, really, you know?
Yeah, just stand off the side of the road far enough so you don't get hit, and that's about it. So
yeah,
those are the biggest dangers that we tried to mitigate when we were hitchhiking through Mexico.
Yep.
All right, at the beginning of the video, we mentioned why we're not going to recommend you do this, and well, go ahead.
Because quite frankly, it's a massive liability issue. We can't guarantee nothing is going to happen to you. We can't guarantee nothing is going to happen to us.
Right.
So
yeah, there's a certain amount of risk involved in this, and you certainly know that. And for us, it was a personal choice we made. We'll do it again, but this is something that's up to you. We can't tell you that your experience is going to be anything as positive as ours was, and you know, you're probably better off not doing this. If you haven't made your mind up to do it already, you're probably better off not doing it, and we're going to recommend that you don't do it. Simple as that.
Yep, we're not encouraging you. We're just telling you our experience. And everyone's experience will be completely different.